Today we'll delve into the history and design of one of the most unique Star Wars ships, the Eclipse-class Dreadnought. Fasten your seatbelts and subscribe for more Star Wars content. Nordy is here, and it's time to get started. The Eclipse-class Dreadnought was a flagship-class warship that was specifically designed to serve as the most advanced and formidable vessel in the Galactic Empire's arsenal, incorporating cutting-edge technology and weaponry to ensure its superiority over any adversary. At the heart of the Eclipse class was its most infamous weapon, the axial superlaser. This weapon, though smaller and less powerful than the Death Star's planet-destroying superlaser, was no less fearsome and still possessed immense destructive potential. The axial superlaser was positioned along the ship's axis, aimed forward in the vessel's prow. This heavy weapon system was designed to be the pinnacle of destructive power in ship-to-ship and planetary bombardment scenarios. Its primary advantage over other weapon systems was its ability to penetrate planetary shields, a feat that was impossible for most other ships in the galaxy, including most other capital ships. The superlaser's sheer power could cut through even the strongest energy shields with ease, allowing it to strike at a planet's surface directly and unleash devastating damage. Its true power, however, was in its ability to crack a planet's crust and destroy entire continental land masses in a single shot, causing catastrophic planetary-scale destruction. This made the superlaser a powerful tool for intimidating enemy factions, as well as a strategic weapon to force planetary surrenders without needing to fully destroy the entire world. The superlaser was capable of delivering an attack of unparalleled intensity to unshielded targets, and it had a range of devastating applications. One of its primary uses in combat was to annihilate enemy capital ships, the backbone of any fleet. The weapon could easily cut through the hulls of massive warships, rendering their advanced shields and armor useless. Even ships as large as superstar destroyers were not safe from the devastating firepower of the Eclipse's axial superlaser, as demonstrated during the Annihilator incident, when the Eclipse obliterated a fellow star destroyer above the shipyards of Kuat. The destruction was swift and complete, showcasing the superlaser's ability to deliver a death blow to even the mightiest ships in the galaxy. Additionally, the superlaser was capable of disabling enemy space stations and fortifications, making it a versatile weapon in both fleet engagements and orbital bombardment scenarios. The strategic flexibility of the superlaser was a key feature that set the Eclipse class apart from other dreadnoughts and made it a centerpiece of the Imperial fleet. Admiral Conan Antonio Motti, in his Imperial Handbook, A Commander's Guide, outlined the tactical role of the superlaser as being able to engage enemy forces at a distance and break through planetary shields with ease. Once a planetary shield was penetrated, the superlaser could then be used to vaporize entire cities, effectively rendering any form of planetary resistance futile. The power of a single shot was enough to wipe out strategic targets, such as military installations, population centers, and industrial complexes, all without completely destroying the planet itself. This ability to cause massive damage while maintaining a degree of control over the planet's survival made the superlaser the ultimate tool for intimidating and subjugating planetary populations, as well as eliminating key threats to the Empire. Despite its impressive power, the axial superlaser was not without its limitations. The weapon's immense energy requirements meant that it could not be fired rapidly. Rather, it needed time to recharge between shots. This slow rate of fire was balanced by the weapon's destructive power, but it also meant that the Eclipse class had to be used with strategic precision to avoid being overwhelmed by enemy forces before the superlaser was ready for its next shot. Its immense energy consumption also meant that the Eclipse-class Dreadnought required an advanced power generation system to ensure that the weapon could operate at full strength when needed. Moreover, the ship itself had to be heavily shielded to withstand the recoil of the superlaser and the potential backlash of a misfire, as the energy released by the weapon could have catastrophic consequences for the vessel, if not properly contained. The psychological impact of the Eclipse-class Dreadnought was perhaps its most significant asset. The mere presence of the ship in a system was often enough to send a message to the local population and enemies alike. The Empire was willing to commit overwhelming force to maintain control and quash any resistance. The weapon's ability to destroy entire cities or crack open planets sent a clear signal of the Empire's might and its willingness to use its most devastating tools to maintain its dominance. Even the most well-defended planetary systems would hesitate to stand against such a powerful force, making the Eclipse-class an invaluable asset in the Empire's campaign of conquest. In combat, the axial superlaser served as the ultimate weapon of choice for commanders seeking to obliterate enemy capital ships, space stations, or planetary fortifications. Its range and pinpoint accuracy meant that it could take out high-priority targets before enemy fleets even had a chance to retaliate. The weapon's versatility allowed it to be used for a range of scenarios, from engaging other warships to directly assaulting a planet's surface. Its terrifying capabilities made the Eclipse-class Dreadnought one of the most feared ships in the galaxy. In terms of overall design, the Eclipse-class Dreadnought was a powerful combination of both offensive and defensive capabilities, making it a strategic asset in any Imperial fleet. It boasted formidable shields, heavy armor, and cutting-edge weaponry, and its crew consisted of the Empire's elite officers and soldiers. Its ability to destroy entire fleets, cripple enemy defenses, and strike terror into the hearts of those who opposed the Empire made it a symbol of Imperial power. A true warship built to command the stars and maintain the Emperor's rule through sheer force. Ultimately, the Eclipse-class Dreadnought was not just a weapon of war, but a symbol of fear. It embodied the might and ruthlessness of the Galactic Empire, a reminder to all who saw it of the Empire's capacity for overwhelming destruction. With its axial superlaser as its ultimate weapon, the Eclipse-class remained an iconic vessel, one that would leave a legacy of both terror and supremacy throughout the galaxy for generations to come. The Eclipse-class Dreadnought benefited from decades of advancements in starship weaponry and defensive systems, integrating the most cutting-edge technologies available to the Galactic Empire. This class of ship was outfitted with a staggering array of weaponry, making it one of the most formidable vessels ever constructed. The improvements were not only in sheer firepower, but also in strategic versatility, ensuring the Eclipse-class could dominate any theater of war, whether in fleet engagements or planetary sieges. At the forefront of its advanced armament was the inclusion of gravity well projectors, a technology initially developed for Executor-class star destroyers. These projectors, of which the Eclipse-class had 10, created artificial gravity wells capable of preventing enemy ships from escaping to hyperspace. This strategic feature allowed the Eclipse to isolate fleets, cut off reinforcements, and force enemy ships into prolonged engagements where its overwhelming firepower could be brought to bear. By integrating this capability directly into the hull, the Eclipse-class rendered specialized interdictor ships redundant, consolidating the role of fleet command and tactical control into a single vessel. The primary weaponry of the Eclipse-class was an awe-inspiring array of heavy laser cannons, turbo lasers, ion cannons, and tractor beam projectors. Its arsenal included 550 heavy laser cannons, each capable of dishing out devastating energy blasts that could vaporize smaller ships and severely damage even heavily armored capital ships. These cannons were strategically distributed across the hull, allowing for comprehensive fields of fire and minimal blind spots. 500 turbo lasers augmented the laser cannon armament, delivering long-range precision strikes against fleets and planetary defenses alike. These weapons ensured the Eclipse-class could engage multiple targets simultaneously, maintaining dominance in large-scale battles. The ion cannons, numbering 75, were another critical component of the Dreadnought's armament. These weapons specialized in disabling enemy systems rather than outright destruction. By targeting the power grids, shields, and weaponry of enemy vessels, the ion cannons left them defenseless against follow-up attacks. This combination of destructive and disabling firepower ensured that the Eclipse-class could overwhelm enemy fleets with a variety of tactical options, crippling resistance before delivering the final blow. The tractor beam projectors, of which there were 100, provided additional tactical versatility. These systems allowed the Eclipse-class to capture and immobilize smaller ships, preventing them from maneuvering or escaping. Tractor beams were particularly effective during boarding actions, where Imperial forces could overwhelm enemy crews and seize their vessels. The sheer number of projectors also meant that the Eclipse-class could secure a vast number of targets simultaneously, further enhancing its role as a fleet command ship. The integration of all these weapon systems was made possible by the ship's state-of-the-art fire control and targeting systems. Central to this was an immersive holographic fire control computer, which provided commanding officers with real-time data and advanced targeting solutions. This technology allowed the ship's officers to coordinate the actions of hundreds of weapon systems with unparalleled precision, ensuring that every shot counted in battle. The gravity well projectors, combined with the other advanced weaponry, turned the Eclipse-class into the ultimate weapon for both offensive and defensive operations. It could lock down entire star systems, prevent enemy forces from retreating, and systematically destroy fleets and fortifications with ruthless efficiency. This made the Dreadnought not only a weapon of destruction, but also a tool of psychological warfare. The knowledge that an Eclipse-class Dreadnought could appear above a planet, disable escape routes, and systematically annihilate defenders was often enough to force enemies to surrender before a single shot was fired. Defensively, the Eclipse-class was equipped with advanced thermally superconducting armor and state-of-the-art deflector shield generators, which could absorb and disperse incoming energy from even the most powerful weapons. This meant that the vessel was not only a juggernaut in terms of offensive capabilities, but also a nearly impervious fortress, capable of withstanding prolonged engagements against numerically superior foes. Ultimately, the Eclipse-class Dreadnought's armament was a testament to the Empire's technological superiority and willingness to invest in overwhelming force. With 550 heavy laser cannons, 500 turbo lasers, 75 ion cannons, 100 tractor beam projectors, and 10 gravity well projectors, the vessel was designed to be unmatched on the battlefield. This incredible combination of firepower, disabling capabilities, and strategic tools made the Eclipse-class a symbol of Imperial dominance, instilling fear across the galaxy and securing the Empire's reputation as the ultimate military power. The Eclipse-class Dreadnought was a marvel of engineering, designed not only for overwhelming firepower, but also for surprising mobility relative to its massive size. Despite its gargantuan proportions, it was equipped with powerful propulsion systems that allowed it to maneuver with a level of agility unmatched by many vessels of comparable scale. With a maximum acceleration of 940 g, the Eclipse-class could achieve rapid bursts of speed in sublight travel, making it far more mobile than the Death Star, which was notoriously slow and unwieldy. This advantage allowed the Eclipse-class to reposition itself on the battlefield effectively, ensuring it could bring its vast array of weapons to bear on enemies with minimal delay. It also enabled the ship to react swiftly to changing tactical situations, whether engaging enemy fleets, blockading planets, or pursuing fleeing adversaries. The ship's propulsion system differed between its iterations. The Eclipse one was outfitted with 6 engines, each a massive construct capable of delivering immense thrust to propel the Dreadnought across space. These engines were optimized for balancing raw power with energy efficiency, allowing the ship to sustain prolonged operations without compromising its performance. The later Eclipse Seto, a more advanced version of the Dreadnought, upgraded this design by incorporating 8 engines, further enhancing its thrust capacity and maneuverability. This upgrade allowed the Eclipse II to accelerate even faster and handle its even more extensive systems with improved efficiency. Both versions of the Eclipse-class featured enhanced sublight engines that provided speed and agility, essential for a ship designed to act as a flagship in major fleet engagements. Unlike the Death Star, which was restricted to strategic movement over long distances and lacked tactical maneuverability, the Eclipse-class was built to operate as a mobile fortress, able to dominate battlefields dynamically. This mobility ensured the ship's commanding officers could exploit weaknesses in enemy formations and maintain the Dreadnought's advantage in combat. The design of the engines also prioritized durability and reliability, as the Eclipse-class often ventured into hostile environments where engine failure could have catastrophic consequences. Advanced cooling systems and reinforced engine housings were integrated into the design, ensuring that the propulsion system could withstand sustained usage during extended campaigns or intense battles. The combination of raw power, advanced engineering, and tactical mobility made the Eclipse-class a far more versatile asset than its colossal predecessor, the Death Star. Its ability to move swiftly and decisively across battlefields, combined with its overwhelming firepower, ensured that the Eclipse-class could project Imperial dominance with both speed and devastating effectiveness, cementing its role as one of the most formidable weapons ever constructed in galactic history. The Eclipse-class Dreadnought was a pinnacle of Imperial engineering, combining unparalleled firepower with remarkable mobility for a ship of its size. A key feature of its mobility was its advanced hyperdrive system, which enabled the Dreadnought to traverse vast distances across the galaxy at speeds unheard of for most capital ships of comparable scale. The primary hyperdrive of the Eclipse-class was rated at Class 2, a significant improvement over the cumbersome systems employed by the Death Star, which lacked any meaningful hyperdrive capability for tactical redeployment. The Class 2 hyperdrive offered a blend of speed and reliability, ensuring that the massive Dreadnought could reposition quickly to respond to strategic threats or project Imperial power across the galaxy. This capability made the Eclipse-class not just a weapon of terror, but a highly practical tool for rapid force projection. In addition to the primary system, the ship was equipped with a Class 6 backup hyperdrive, ensuring redundancy in case of primary system failure. This backup system, while slower, guaranteed that the Dreadnought could retreat or reposition even in adverse conditions, such as damage sustained in battle or malfunctions caused by sabotage. The inclusion of a backup hyperdrive underscored the design philosophy of the Eclipse-class as a vessel meant to endure and prevail under the harshest circumstances. The enhanced hyperdrive system represented a considerable technological leap, especially given the ship's extraordinary mass and size. To achieve this level of efficiency, the Eclipse-class relied on an array of advanced hyperdrive motivators, reinforced power conduits, and state-of-the-art energy regulators. These components worked in concert to channel the immense energy required to propel the Dreadnought into hyperspace without overloading its systems. The superior hyperdrive allowed the Eclipse-class to execute hyperspace jumps with precision, making it an effective tool for surprise attacks, rapid reinforcements, and strategic withdrawals. This capability also facilitated its role as a flagship, enabling it to command fleets across dispersed battlefronts without being hindered by delays in travel time. The hyperdrive systems of the Eclipse-class were further enhanced by sophisticated navigation computers and sensor suites, capable of charting hyperspace routes even in regions with dense gravitational anomalies. This feature allowed the Dreadnought to operate in areas where lesser ships might falter, further extending its tactical flexibility. In comparison to the Death Star, the Eclipse-class represented a significant evolution in Imperial strategic design. While the Death Star was a stationary weapon of mass destruction, limited to strategic operations and incapable of rapid redeployment, the Eclipse-class combined devastating firepower with unmatched mobility, ensuring it could dominate not just through fear, but also through superior battlefield adaptability. By integrating an advanced hyperdrive system with the ship's already formidable arsenal, the Eclipse-class became the ultimate symbol of Imperial power, capable of striking terror across the galaxy while maintaining the operational flexibility needed to counter any threat to the Empire's dominance. The Eclipse-class Dreadnought was an imposing and massive warship, measuring an incredible 17,500 meters, 17.5 kilometers, in length. This immense size made it one of the largest and most formidable ships ever constructed in the galaxy, surpassing many others in both firepower and overall mass. While the Executor-class Star Dreadnought measured approximately 1.5 kilometers longer, the Eclipse-class was significantly more massive due to its advanced weapons, reinforced armor, and additional systems, such as its powerful axial superlaser and heavily fortified design. This gave the Eclipse-class a far greater mass than any other superstar destroyer, making it a true titan on the battlefield. The size of the Eclipse-class was not just for show. It was a practical necessity for the ship's function as the flagship of the Imperial fleet. Its size allowed for the inclusion of vast armament arrays, including turbo lasers, ion cannons, and tractor beam projectors. Furthermore, its massive structure housed thousands of crew members and troops, allowing it to serve as both a mobile command center and a formidable assault vessel capable of taking on entire fleets or destroying planets. The ship's vast length and superior mass gave it the structural integrity needed to survive and thrive in the harshest of combat environments. ensuring that the Eclipse-class could project Imperial power across the galaxy with unrivaled force. Despite its larger predecessor in length, the Eclipse-class outstripped the Executor-class in terms of strategic impact and battlefield presence, making it the ultimate expression of Imperial military might. The bridge tower of the Eclipse-class was a highly specialized structure, designed to manage the critical functions of the ship and ensure efficient command and control during both strategic planning and combat situations. Positioned at the top of the vessel, it housed several key systems that played crucial roles in the ship's operations. The main communications array was located on the port side of the tower, allowing for seamless communication with Imperial forces across vast distances. On the starboard side, the sensor array was placed, enabling the ship to detect enemy ships, incoming threats, and assess the battlefield in real time. These two systems worked in tandem to ensure that the Eclipse-class could maintain superior situational awareness, a critical factor when dealing with the enormous scale of combat and strategic operations. In addition to housing these essential components, the bridge tower also served as the nerve center for the Eclipse-class's operations. The lower section of the tower contained the main command station, where high-ranking officers and fleet commanders oversaw the ship's activities. This area was designed to be fully equipped for strategic decision-making, ensuring the commanding officers could quickly assess the situation and issue commands across the vessel or to the Imperial fleet. At the top of the tower was the Deflector Shield Command Center, an area crucial for maintaining the Eclipse-class's powerful energy shields. The Eclipse-class was equipped with highly advanced deflector shields capable of withstanding substantial damage, and the Shield Command Center provided officers with full control over these systems. This part of the tower was vital for ensuring the ship's defense during intense combat and preventing damage from powerful enemy weapons, including planetary superlasers or massive turbolaser barrages. Interestingly, the bridge tower of the Eclipse-class was positioned closer to the hull compared to traditional Star Destroyers, like the Imperial I and Imperial II classes. This modification provided the Eclipse-class with greater structural integrity and minimized vulnerability, ensuring that even if the ship sustained damage, critical areas such as the command center, communications array, and sensor array remained protected. This design choice further exemplified the Eclipse-class's emphasis on survivability and its ability to sustain prolonged combat in hostile environments. The Eclipse-class Dreadnought was a massive, highly complex warship requiring a vast number of personnel to operate effectively. With a crew size of 780,470 personnel, the ship's complement was a carefully organized, highly structured military operation in and of itself. The crew consisted of various specialized groups, each responsible for managing different aspects of the Dreadnought's many systems, ranging from engineering to weapons operations to medical support. The Eclipse II, a further development of the class, also carried a contingent of Shadow Droid starfighters, adding to the Dreadnought's already impressive capabilities in space combat. The hierarchy aboard the ship was tightly controlled, with officers managing each division and department, while enlisted personnel and droids operated the various systems. Officers were ranked from admirals and commanders at the top, overseeing broad strategic operations, to lieutenants and ensigns who handled day-to-day functions, such as controlling specific weapon systems or maintaining critical parts of the ship. The ship's crew was divided into a series of detachments, each with a specific function such as engineering, communications, medical, combat, and logistics. The engineering detachment ensured that the ship's power plants, engines, and hyperdrive systems were functioning smoothly, while the communications detachment was responsible for coordinating with other Imperial vessels and stations. The medical detachment provided care to injured personnel, and the combat detachment ensured that the ship was ready for battle at all times, managing turbolaser turrets, ion cannons, and the superlaser weapon. The logistics detachment was responsible for ensuring that there was an unbroken supply of fuel, food, ammunition, and other critical supplies needed to maintain the ship and its crew. A ship of this size required constant vigilance, and as such, the crew operated under strict schedules. Shifts were broken into rotating cycles to ensure that every station aboard the Eclipse-class was covered at all times. crew members in sensitive roles, such as gunners or bridge officers, would rotate shifts regularly to ensure optimal performance and minimize fatigue, with each shift typically lasting around 6 hours, allowing for a reasonable amount of downtime before the next cycle began. The sheer scale of the Eclipse class also meant that various crews were stationed in different parts of the ship, and it wasn't uncommon for personnel to operate in specific sections for long periods of time. For example, the gunners, comprising 4,175 personnel, were primarily responsible for managing the ship's massive array of weapons. These gunners operated turbo lasers, ion cannons, tractor beams, and more. In combat, their duties became incredibly stressful as they engaged enemy ships, capitalizing on the ship's firepower to obliterate entire fleets. Their training was rigorous, ensuring that they could respond quickly to combat scenarios. The officers and specialized personnel operated within the command and control center, where they coordinated the ship's defense and offensive strategies. This included command officers, tactical officers, and other leaders who ensured that the battle plan was executed with precision. As expected, these crew members worked in highly structured shifts, often coordinating with the crew aboard other Imperial warships, given that the Eclipse class would often be deployed as part of a larger fleet for maximum combat efficiency. These officers also had to work with planetary assault teams, organizing the deployment of ground forces during invasions. In terms of life aboard the ship, it was highly regimented. Troop quarters for the soldiers were located in the lower frontal section of the vessel, in front of the hangar areas. These areas were compact but efficient, designed to house large numbers of personnel who were primarily involved in the invasion forces, which included stormtroopers, AT-AT drivers, and other Imperial ground forces. These quarters were basic, yet functional, providing the soldiers with enough space to rest, eat, and prepare for combat missions. Personnel spent much of their time in training, either for maintaining operational readiness or conducting specific drills related to their roles on the ship, whether that was managing the superlaser or preparing for planetary assaults. Training was intense and consistent. Given the importance of the Eclipse class as an Imperial flagship, all crew members were expected to maintain a high level of readiness. This meant that soldiers, officers, and even support personnel underwent regular training exercises to ensure that they could handle their specific duties during the ship's operations, as well as cross-training in various backup roles. Engineers, for instance, would be trained in weapon systems to provide backup support in case of emergency. Medical officers would also receive combat training to prepare for casualties during an invasion or battle. As for vacations, they were rare and primarily offered to high-ranking officers or those who had earned exceptional service rewards. Most personnel, especially enlisted soldiers, served long-term tours of duty, often spending extended periods aboard the ship. However, there were designated rest periods between long assignments, where crew members could take shore leave, rotating between the ship and Imperial-controlled planets. Life aboard the Eclipse class was a balance between constant vigilance, high-pressure duties, and intense training. While officers and crew members received high-end amenities based on rank, those who worked in the lower levels or handled the ship's day-to-day operations had fewer comforts. However, the crew was committed to their duty to the Empire, and their sense of discipline and loyalty played a significant role in the success of their missions. The Eclipse class was not just a warship, it was a city in space, requiring complex management, strict adherence to protocol, and seamless cooperation across countless departments. The crew of the Eclipse class understood their role within the Imperial war machine and worked tirelessly to ensure that their massive vessel could carry out its mission, whether that be through the deployment of overwhelming firepower, planetary invasions, or the assertion of Imperial control over the galaxy. The Eclipse-class Dreadnought boasted an impressive complement of starfighters and support craft, enabling it to project power across the galaxy with both overwhelming firepower and a versatile strike capability. The ship was equipped with a formidable fleet of 600 TIE/IN interceptors and 96 TIE/SA bombers, divided into 58 squadrons. This substantial wing of TIE fighters ensured the Eclipse class could engage enemies both at long range and in direct, close-quarters combat, providing air superiority in any battlefield environment. The TIE-IN interceptors, also known as TIE interceptors, were primarily tasked with engaging enemy starfighters and protecting the Eclipse-class from enemy aerial threats. These highly agile and fast craft were designed to outmaneuver most standard starfighter models, making them ideal for dogfights and intercepting any incoming assault against the Dreadnought. With a total of 600 interceptors organized into 50 squadrons, the Eclipse-class maintained an overwhelming presence in the sky, ensuring that enemy fighter forces were quickly neutralized before they could even reach the ship's hull. The TIE ESA bombers, which numbered 96, provided crucial heavy strike capabilities for the Eclipse-class. These bombers were equipped with both proton bombs and other destructive ordnance designed to disable enemy capital ships, space stations, or strategic planetary installations. Deployed from the 58 squadrons aboard, they offered the Eclipse-class significant versatility, allowing it to not only defend itself, but also conduct offensive strikes with devastating effectiveness. Whether tasked with precision bombing runs or delivering heavy payloads against enemy fortifications, the TIE bombers added another dimension to the ship's operational scope. The ship's hangar bays were strategically positioned at the sides of the vessel, offering an efficient and organized system for deploying and recovering these fighters. The fore and aft launch bays, located toward the middle of the ship, were designed for quick access and rapid deployment, allowing the fighters to launch swiftly when the need arose. These bays were integral to the efficiency of the ship, ensuring that squadrons could quickly deploy to engage threats or launch attacks as required. The proximity of the launch bays to the ship's central area also helped to streamline the operations of the crew, making the deployment of starfighters and bombers a swift and coordinated effort. In addition to the TIE-IN interceptors and TIE SA bombers, the Eclipse-class carried a variety of other support craft. These included transport ships, repair droids, and smaller shuttles designed for boarding operations or logistical support. This diverse range of support craft enabled the Eclipse-class to operate independently for extended periods, without needing constant resupply or reinforcements from other Imperial vessels. Together, the complement of starfighters and support craft aboard the Eclipse-class ensured that the Dreadnought could engage any threat, whether it came from enemy capital ships, starfighters, or planetary defenses. The combination of overwhelming firepower, mobility, and a formidable air wing made the Eclipse-class the ultimate weapon in the Empire's arsenal, capable of asserting dominance in any theater of war. The Eclipse-class Dreadnought, one of the most powerful warships ever created by the Galactic Empire, was not only a symbol of unmatched firepower in space, but also an incredibly formidable asset for ground assaults. With its impressive array of troops, vehicles, and logistical support, the Eclipse-class was designed to take total control of planets, ensuring that the Empire could both project power across the galaxy and establish rapid military dominance on the surface of any hostile world. For planetary invasions, the Eclipse-class carried a staggering 150,000 Imperial soldiers, ready to deploy in a variety of combat situations. These soldiers were organized into highly trained combat units, capable of securing any landing zone, defending vital areas, and launching offensives against enemy forces. The ship's deployment capabilities ensured that the invasion force could be swiftly mobilized and carried out across vast distances, overwhelming planetary defense systems. The soldiers carried a wide variety of specialized gear, from blasters to heavy weaponry and specialized armor, making them capable of adapting to virtually any combat environment. The real strength of the Eclipse-class in ground assaults lay in its ability to deploy heavy mechanized support, including 100 AT-AT all-terrain armored transport walkers. These massive, imposing walkers were a key component of the Empire's ground forces, designed to provide overwhelming firepower and mobility on the battlefield. Their towering size, heavily armored plating, and devastating weaponry, including heavy laser cannons and blasters, made them almost impervious to enemy infantry and light vehicles. The AT-ATs could trample over enemy fortifications, crush soldiers underfoot, and bring down the most entrenched defenses with relentless bombardment. Their sheer presence on the battlefield instilled fear in any opposing forces, signaling the total might of the Empire's military apparatus. In addition to the AT-AT walkers, the Eclipse-class carried 5 prefabricated garrison bases that could be deployed as soon as the Dreadnought's forces landed on a planet. These bases were pre-constructed in modular sections allowing for rapid assembly upon arrival at their designated location. Once deployed, the garrison bases provided Imperial forces with everything necessary to establish a secure foothold on enemy planets. These bases included living quarters, command centers, defensive emplacements, and storage for supplies. Within hours of landing, the Empire's forces could set up a fully operational base, ready to hold territory and support ongoing military operations. The Eclipse-class was equipped with a cargo capacity of 600,000 metric tons, an immense storage capacity that allowed it to carry everything necessary to sustain both the troops and their equipment during a prolonged planetary assault. The massive cargo hold was capable of carrying everything from vehicles to heavy weaponry, medical supplies, rations, ammunition, and even additional infantry support equipment. With this volume of cargo capacity, the Eclipse-class could bring the full weight of the Empire's military to bear on any planet, supplying the army and providing the logistical framework necessary to keep the campaign running smoothly. The cargo hold not only carried infantry and vehicles, but was also stocked with advanced vehicles for reconnaissance, artillery support, and specialized engineering units that could assist in constructing fortifications, clearing obstacles, or securing critical areas. The Eclipse-class also featured compartments for additional air support vehicles, including TIE fighters, TIE bombers, and TIE interceptors, which could be launched directly from the ship to engage in ground support, air superiority, or precision strikes on enemy positions. When it came to the deployment of troops, the Eclipse-class offered multiple landing strategies. The ship's rear bay doors would open to allow for the swift deployment of soldiers and vehicles via a variety of platforms. The AT-ATs could be lowered directly onto the surface of a planet using drop platforms, while infantry could be transported down through shuttlecraft or LAAT/I gunships, each capable of carrying squads of troopers into the heat of battle. The Eclipse-class provided a comprehensive support system for its ground forces. The ship's advanced sensor and communication systems ensured that its forces could maintain contact with the command ship while keeping track of enemy movements and coordinating military efforts across the battlefield. In addition to its military power, the Eclipse-class carried medical droids and field medics, ready to provide emergency care to the wounded during or after battle, allowing for rapid recovery and continuation of the fight. The mobile hospital facilities could handle the most severe injuries, helping to maintain the combat effectiveness of the Imperial troops. The Eclipse-class was a military juggernaut, capable of dominating not only in space but also on the ground, providing the Empire with unparalleled tactical flexibility. With its incredible capacity for troop and vehicle deployment, its overwhelming firepower, and its robust logistics capabilities, the Eclipse-class could quickly establish control over any hostile planet. Its combination of ground assault power, logistical support, and advanced weaponry made it one of the most formidable warships in the Imperial fleet, ensuring that the Empire's reach was both vast and unyielding. The Eclipse-class Star Dreadnoughts were developed by Quat Drive Yards, one of the galaxy's most renowned shipbuilding companies, responsible for producing many of the Empire's most powerful warships. The Eclipse-class represented the pinnacle of Imperial naval engineering, blending advanced weaponry, sheer firepower, and imposing size to create some of the most feared vessels in the galaxy. The design and construction of the Eclipse-class involved meticulous planning and years of research and development. The goal was to create a warship capable of commanding the battlefield through overwhelming firepower, particularly through its axial superlaser, capable of destroying entire planets or capital ships. The superlaser technology was integrated into the ship's central spine, and its destructive capacity was designed to render any enemy vessel or planetary defense irrelevant in the face of such might. Building such a massive vessel required an intricate process of modular production. Components were fabricated in massive shipyards like those in Kuat, and then assembled in space stations or in orbit, where the vast scale of the dreadnoughts necessitated space-based assembly. This modular approach allowed for flexibility during construction, with different sections of the dreadnought being built and tested individually before being joined into the final form. The sheer size of these ships meant that their assembly was a monumental task, requiring thousands of engineers, technicians, and laborers to oversee the integration of the numerous systems, from the power plant to the weapons and defensive systems. The logistics of such a project were equally demanding, with parts for the Eclipse-class Dreadnoughts often being shipped across vast distances to the shipyards where they were assembled. The immense cost and resource consumption of the Eclipse-class ships meant that only a few were ever constructed, and their production was a closely guarded secret, known only to the highest-ranking members of the Galactic Empire. In terms of employee work, the shipyards of Kuat were staffed by highly trained professionals, from engineers to droids, each responsible for a specific aspect of the ship's construction. The complexity of the Eclipse-class design required careful coordination among various departments, including those focused on weaponry, communications systems, and defensive technologies. Laborers worked in high-risk environments, constructing the ships under intense pressure to meet the Empire's demands for dominance in space. The Eclipse-class was part of the broader line of Star Dreadnoughts produced by Kuat Drive Yards, building upon the legacy of previous classes such as the Imperial-class Star Destroyers and the Executor-class. Despite its formidable size and power, the Eclipse-class was not the first of its kind. However, its advancements in weaponry and defensive capabilities set it apart as one of the ultimate expressions of Imperial military might. In summary, the Eclipse-class Star Dreadnoughts were a testament to the cutting-edge technology and engineering of the Empire, representing the culmination of years of research and design by Kuat Drive Yards. Through modular production and efficient assembly at the shipyards, the Eclipse-class was created to assert Imperial dominance across the galaxy, a process that required a vast network of resources and an army of skilled personnel. The Eclipse-class Dreadnoughts, while sharing many similarities, exhibited several key differences between the two known vessels in this class, the Eclipse-1 and the Eclipse-2. These variances were significant in terms of their design and capabilities, reflecting both the evolution of the class and the specific needs of each vessel. One of the most notable differences was in their engine configurations. The Eclipse-1 was equipped with 6 engines, which were positioned separately from each other and located to the sides of the vessel's rear section. This design allowed for greater maneuverability and stability in various combat situations. The Eclipse-2, on the other hand, was fitted with 8 engines, which were grouped together in a more compact formation, much like the engines on other Star Destroyer classes. This change was likely made to optimize the ship's speed and agility, as the Eclipse-2 was intended to be even more mobile than its predecessor. Another notable distinction was in the command bridge tower. The Eclipse-1 lacked a command bridge tower directly over its axial superlaser, but the Eclipse-2 featured this feature, placing the bridge directly above the superlaser weapon. This modification allowed for more effective coordination of the ship's immense power and weapon systems during battle. The position of the bridge provided enhanced oversight of the ship's firepower, allowing commanders to more efficiently direct the superlaser while simultaneously managing the entire vessel's operations. These differences between the Eclipse-1 and Eclipse-2 highlighted the ongoing improvements made to the Eclipse-class Dreadnoughts, as the design evolved to meet the specific needs of the Imperial fleet. While both ships were formidable in their own right, the modifications seen in the Eclipse-2 reflected a greater focus on speed, maneuverability, and strategic command efficiency, making it a more advanced iteration of the original Eclipse-1 design. The Eclipse-class Star Dreadnought was one of the most ambitious and powerful warships ever conceived by the Galactic Empire, designed to solidify Imperial dominance over the galaxy. While the Eclipse was under construction, a prototype, known as the Tarkin, was created to serve as a weapons testbed. The Tarkin was initially a trial vessel, meant to test the theoretical capabilities of the Eclipse class in combat situations. However, it would ultimately play a much more significant role. The Tarkin was repurposed as a fully functional battle station, and named after the notorious Wilhuff Tarkin, a figure deeply tied to the Empire's doctrine of fear and dominance. The Tarkin would eventually be destroyed by a rebel sabotage team in 3 ABY, marking the first significant blow to the Empire's ambitions with the Eclipse class. The Eclipse itself, alongside its sister ship, the Eclipse-2, began construction shortly after the start of the Galactic Civil War, around 0 Anno Domini by. These two ships were part of an Imperial initiative to develop warships that would be more than just ships of the line. The Eclipse-class was envisioned to be an indomitable presence in the galaxy, armored with cutting-edge technologies and equipped with a superlaser powerful enough to obliterate entire fleets or planets. This would be complemented by the Sovereign-class, another class of Star Dreadnought designed for similar roles, but with different operational parameters. Together, these ship classes were expected to revolutionize naval combat and ensure the Imperial Navy's dominance in the galaxy for at least the next century. The construction of the Eclipse began above the industrial hub of Kuat, known for its massive shipyards and production capabilities. Meanwhile, the Eclipse II was being constructed over Bias, a dark and mysterious planet in the deep core. These ships were not just military hardware, but symbols of Imperial power, towering over their surroundings like ancient seafaring warships, with designs harkening back to naval combat traditions of old. Both ships were massive, their hulls fortified with nearly impenetrable armor, and each had a superlaser capable of annihilating entire planets or fleets. This massive destructive power would act as both a weapon and a psychological tool, a weapon so terrifying that it could ensure loyalty to the Empire and break any will to resist. The Eclipse class was designed to be a key player in the final push to stamp out the Rebel Alliance and maintain the Empire's iron grip on the galaxy. The ships were meant to strike fear into the hearts of all who might dare defy the Emperor. However, despite the sheer power of the Eclipse and its sister ships, they faced challenges throughout their construction and deployment, with Rebel forces constantly finding ways to sabotage and undermine the Empire's plans. Despite their overwhelming power, the Eclipse-class Star Dreadnoughts would never fully realize their potential, as the Empire's defeat became inevitable. Yet, the legacy of the Eclipse lived on, shaping Imperial warships for years to come, and becoming a symbol of what the Empire could have achieved had it not been for the rebellion and its relentless resistance. By 4 ABY, both the Eclipse and Eclipse II were nearing completion, with their superlaser main weapons installed and functioning as intended. These vessels represented the pinnacle of the Empire's ambition, each a massive symbol of power capable of reshaping the galaxy. However, the construction of both ships faced significant delays, chiefly the demise of Emperor Palpatine and the subsequent power vacuum that enveloped the Empire in the aftermath of the Battle of Endor. During this tumultuous period, the New Republic remained unaware of the Eclipse-class Star Dreadnought's existence. Although New Republic intelligence did manage to acquire a copy of the Imperial Handbook shortly after Palpatine's death, this document was their only source of information on the ships. General Carlist Riken of the New Republic believed that the Empire had not made significant progress on the design, erroneously assuming the project had been abandoned or put on hold after the loss of the Emperor. However, the Eclipse-class Dreadnoughts remained in secret, and their existence was about to become known in unexpected ways. The crime lord Tiber Zan, a figure with his own ambitions and far-reaching influence, sought to gain control over the vessel. Zan learned of the Eclipse's construction and saw the opportunity to acquire it for his personal gain. Intent on accessing the ship's records and potentially stealing the Dreadnought itself, Zan launched an assault on the Kuat shipyards, managing to seize control of the ship. In a bold move, Zan used the Eclipse to inflict significant damage on both Imperial and Rebel forces, manipulating the Rebel Alliance into unwittingly assisting him by granting access to their own ships during a confrontation. Zan's maneuvering with the Eclipse, however, proved to be short-lived. As he quickly realized, the sheer size and unwieldiness of the ship made it impractical for his goals. The Eclipse was far too large and conspicuous to use in his operations, and the last thing Zan wanted was for it to attract attention from both the Empire and the New Republic. Eventually, Tiber Zan, finding no further use for the vessel, left the Eclipse adrift. The massive dreadnought was abandoned in space, a behemoth now vulnerable to whatever forces might come next. As fate would have it, the New Republic would not leave the Eclipse in peace. The New Republic Navy, learning of the ship's location, launched an assault to destroy it once and for all. The battle was fierce, with remnants of the Imperial fleet attempting to defend the vessel, but ultimately, the Eclipse was defeated and destroyed, ending its terrifying potential as a weapon of galactic domination. Thus, the Eclipse's final chapter was written not by the Empire's hand, but by the unpredictable actions of criminals and the determination of the New Republic, who ensured that Palpatine's vision of ultimate control over the galaxy would remain unfulfilled. After the destruction of the original Eclipse during the Rebel Alliance's final push against the Empire, the Emperor Palpatine's ambitions of galaxy-wide control were far from over. In a bold move to assert his resurgence, Palpatine commanded the completion of a second Eclipse-class Star Dreadnought, which would be his flagship in his reborn empire. The Eclipse II was constructed with the same devastating capabilities as its predecessor, but featured enhancements and modifications intended to ensure its supremacy over any opposition, both in scale and firepower. Approximately 17.5 kilometers long, the Eclipse II was an imposing superstar destroyer, its sleek jet-black hull creating an aura of terrifying power. These behemoth warships were among the largest ships ever built, rivaling even the ancient dreadnoughts like the Eye of Palpatine and the older Quadi-Star dreadnoughts that had served the Empire in previous eras. The Eclipse II surpassed its predecessors in nearly every respect, designed not just for combat superiority, but to broadcast the Empire's might across the galaxy. The Eclipse II was not simply a weapon of war, but a symbol of the Emperor's invincible return. Equipped with the same superlaser that had made the Eclipse infamous, the Eclipse II was capable of obliterating entire planets or fleets in a single shot. However, in addition to this terrifying superweapon, the Eclipse II also boasted massive turbolaser arrays, designed to rain destruction upon any target in range. Its defensive systems were second to none, capable of repelling even the most relentless attacks from rebel forces, and its hangar bays were capable of housing dozens of smaller warships, including TIE fighters and TIE interceptors. The ship's crew quarters and command centers were state-of-the-art, designed for the exclusive use of Palpatine and his inner circle, as well as the Imperial fleet that would follow him in his quest to subjugate the galaxy. The Eclipse II was built not only as a weapon of war, but as a mobile fortress and command center. It was as much a palace as it was a warship, a place for Palpatine to conduct his dark rule, and, should it be required, to launch his next phase of galactic conquest. After the destruction of the Eclipse, Palpatine's return from the dead was aided by a carefully orchestrated series of schemes and betrayals that once again solidified the Empire's hold on the galaxy. The Eclipse II was to be his final vessel of tyranny, and the Emperor's flagship carried his dark presence across the galaxy, striking fear into those who had dared defy him. It was rumored that the Eclipse II was constructed in secret, far from the eyes of the New Republic and its spies, hidden in the depths of the deep core or constructed on the planet Bias, its exact location shrouded in mystery. The Eclipse II, however, would not escape the fate of its predecessor. As Palpatine sought to consolidate his power, the New Republic launched a final series of coordinated attacks against his fleet, and with it, the Eclipse II was once again rendered a casualty of galactic resistance. Like the Eclipse II was destroyed, but not before it struck fear into the hearts of countless systems. Its legacy as the symbol of Palpatine's rule and the terrifying potential of the Eclipse-class would forever resonate through galactic history. The Eclipse was not just a warship, it was a symbol of the Emperor's resolve to crush the galaxy under his iron grip. For years it had loomed in orbit above Biss, a haunting presence that threatened to topple the fragile hope that the New Republic had fought so hard to establish. The ship, like its creator, seemed to defy time itself. Construction of the Eclipse had taken almost as long as the Empire's Death Star battle stations, making it a monumental undertaking. Yet its superlaser weapon and devastating capabilities were a testament to the Empire's relentless pursuit of ultimate power. After Palpatine's apparent death following the events at Endor, the Eclipse was left as a mere memory in the galaxy's history. However, in the dark corners of space, the ship's true purpose was still being realized. The Emperor, having cheated death through cloning and the dark arts of the Sith, had found refuge on Biss, where he maintained control of his devastating fleet. The Eclipse remained hidden, its black hull an ominous reminder of the Emperor's will. It wasn't until much later, in 10 ABY, that the Eclipse finally emerged from the shadows of hyperspace, its eerie presence catching the New Republic by surprise. The sudden appearance of such a massive ship sent waves of fear through the ranks of the New Republic, especially when its black hull emerged out of the deep space near Pinnacle Moon in the Da Sucha system. The New Republic forces, initially convinced they were seeing a ghost ship, an artifact of a dead empire, soon realized the horrifying truth. The Eclipse had returned, and its weapons were primed for destruction. In an instant, the ship unleashed its fury. The superlaser that had been designed to obliterate planets was now trained on the New Republic fleet, which had gathered in the Da Sucha system. The Eclipse's arrival was not a coincidence. Palpatine, in his renewed dark power, intended to crush the New Republic once and for all, using the Eclipse as the vanguard of his assault. The New Republic forces scrambled to defend themselves, but the might of the Eclipse was overwhelming, causing the fleet to falter in the face of the Emperor's wrath. The Eclipse's fire began to devastate the Republic ships in orbit. Yet, it was not only the ship's firepower that made the situation dire. The Emperor, with the Force, had summoned a Force storm, a chaotic maelstrom of dark side energy that threatened to consume the New Republic fleet in its wake. This storm was Palpatine's final weapon, a cataclysmic surge of dark energy that would annihilate all resistance. In the midst of this, a small group of New Republic heroes, including Luke Skywalker and his sister, Princess Leia Organa Solo, embarked on a daring mission to stop the Emperor's madness. As the Eclipse continued to fire relentlessly on the fleet, Luke and Leia fought their way through the heart of the Emperor's dark influence. They understood that the Force storm could only be disrupted by confronting the Emperor directly. The final confrontation was a harrowing test of their strength, both physical and mental. In an astonishing turn of events, Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa Solo succeeded in using the Force to disrupt the Emperor's control of the Force storm, unraveling his titanic energy before it could destroy the New Republic. In the ensuing chaos, the Eclipse was destroyed, along with its superlaser and Palpatine's presence. The ship and its dark legacy were torn apart by the very energy the Emperor had sought to control. The destruction of the Eclipse marked the true end of the Emperor's reign. With Palpatine's death, the New Republic had dealt the final blow to the Empire's plans. Though the Eclipse was gone, its dark shadow had loomed over the galaxy for far too long, and its destruction represented the collapse of the Sith's dominion over the galaxy. Thus, the tale of the Eclipse, once the crown jewel of the Empire's fleet, now a haunting reminder of Palpatine's corrupted rule, came to a final and tragic end in 10 ABY, at the hands of the Rebel Alliance's enduring fight for freedom. After the Eclipse was destroyed, the Empire quickly began construction of a successor, the Eclipse II, to replace the iconic superweapon that had once terrorized the New Republic. Though it retained much of the design of its predecessor, the Eclipse II boasted significant modifications to enhance its capabilities, particularly its thrusters, which allowed for better maneuverability. However, despite the technological upgrades, the Eclipse II would meet the same fate as its predecessor, one marked by destruction and chaos. The ship's final chapter unfolded in the skies above the planet Onderon, where the Rebel Alliance, now firmly entrenched in their war against the remnants of the Empire, launched a daring attack against the massive battleship. Leading the charge were two of the New Republic's finest, Lando Calrissian and Wedge Antilles. Their mission was as simple as it was dangerous: board the Eclipse II, disable its weapons, and prevent it from wreaking havoc on the galaxy. But the task proved to be far more challenging than they anticipated. The Eclipse II's powerful shields and defenses made any direct assault incredibly difficult, and the ship's vast size meant that any small mistake could prove catastrophic. Yet, with the New Republic's finest aboard, they managed to infiltrate the ship with a small boarding party. Among the brave crew was none other than R2-D2, the astromech droid who had been with the rebels through countless battles. As the team made their way deeper into the Eclipse II, R2-D2 managed to hack into the battleship's internal systems, bypassing its security and taking control of its computer banks. With his immense technical knowledge, R2-D2 sent the Eclipse II on an uncontrolled trajectory, hurtling through hyperspace toward a collision with the dreaded Galaxy Gun, another weapon of mass destruction created by the Empire. The Eclipse II, propelled by the droid's expertise, barreled through the galaxy at breakneck speed, reaching the Galaxy Gun before it could fire. The two behemoths collided in an explosive cataclysm that shook the very fabric of space, destroying both ships in a brilliant explosion. However, one last piece of the disaster was yet to come. As the Eclipse II rammed the Galaxy Gun, the resulting shockwave sent a final projectile careening toward the planet Biss, where Emperor Palpatine and his forces had taken refuge. The projectile, pulled in by Biss's gravity, crashed into the planet with devastating force. The impact obliterated Biss, annihilating the planet and the clones of Emperor Palpatine that had been hidden there. With the destruction of Biss, the remnants of the Sith and their dark reign came to a decisive end. The Eclipse II, like its predecessor, had failed in its quest for galactic domination. The last bastion of the Empire's superweapons was gone, and the New Republic could finally begin to rebuild without the looming threat of the Eclipse II, casting its shadow across the galaxy. This final destructive collision marked the end of an era. The legacy of the Eclipse II, its power, its terror, and its destruction, served as a grim reminder of the price of ambition and the folly of those who sought to control the galaxy through force and fear.